And now for something completely different. In this video, I'll be answering your questions from Twitter. This Q&A video will be broken into two parts. Check the timestamps below to skip forward if you'd like to. The first section is going to relate to Tesla, investing and finance, the bread and butter of this channel. The second half of this Q&A will focus on more personal things, philanthropy, psychedelics, my dating life, and more. We'll resume our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow, but for now, let's get into the video. Oh, and just for the record, this video is absolutely not going to be safe for work. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. Would love to see a snapshot of your real estate portfolio and other investments, how much of your overall wealth is in Tesla versus real estate versus other investments. Thanks for all you do. So pretty simple here. I don't know exactly, but Tesla stock's probably somewhere between 80-90% of my net worth. I don't pay that much attention. In terms of the real estate, I've got a few apartments, 3 apartments in Sydney, and I also have a house, which, really it's the block of land that I was buying, but obviously it has a house on it as well, but the land is for future development. I've got that as well. So I've got the 4 properties in Australia. That's it as far as real estate. And I also have, I think, about 0.001% of my net worth approximately in cryptocurrency as well. Previously, I have owned Bitcoin, quite a few actually. I've made a video about that, so I won't waste time explaining. No longer have those Bitcoin. Wasn't voluntary. Let's leave it there. How do you think a world war or a fundamental crisis of our financial system would affect the value of Tesla stock long term? Explain it like I'm 12. Oh, so like you're 12. Easy. It won't. That's it. That's the answer. I am serious, by the way. In the short term, total chaos in the stock market. But over the long term, unless you're talking like a world war that literally wipes out a substantial portion of the total population on Earth, this transition's happening. This technology will be adopted. This is inevitable. It is going to play out. Doesn't really matter over the long term, but short term certainly wouldn't be pretty. Macroeconomic conditions obviously impact your investments and could help you optimize them. Why do you not pay attention to them or discuss them on your channel? So for the record, I do pay attention to what's happening in the macroeconomic environment just out of curiosity. But in terms of my Tesla investment thesis, I'm a long-term investor. What I care about is this company in a dominant position. Do they have an unassailable lead? Will the cost of these technologies continue to predictably decline over time? Is this EV transition inevitable? Is it going to happen? Is it a done deal? Yes, it is. I could keep going on with a million other examples. The point that I'm making here, what's happening in the macroeconomic environment over the short, medium, or long term has absolutely nothing, and I want to be clear, absolutely nothing the fuck to do with Tesla's execution, the inevitable transition to EVs, the utility of autonomous robotaxis, on and on and on and on and on. This stuff is all going to happen. Of course, you can argue the price of Tesla stock can be affected by multiples, interest rates, blah, blah, blah. I get all that stuff, but I don't care. It's just noise. What I care about is Tesla executing. Are they dominating? Is the transition happening? Okay, great. Well, that's all I care about. To come at this from a different angle, in 2035, if I don't do anything, I just hold my Tesla stock and don't give a single fuck about what's happening in the macroeconomic environment, I'm confident I'll be okay. If you had to guess, what percent of Tesla's profits in 2030 will it pay in dividends? How high could this percent be in later years? Well, despite what some of my past predictions might suggest, I don't actually have a time machine, so this will just be a guess. But my best guess, 2030, somewhere between 0 to 25% of profits. Over the long term, this could be higher, 0.01% scenario, maybe even as high as 50% of profits. But the thing to understand here is Tesla will at some point surely be forced to pay dividends. Maybe they have the option of share buybacks before that, but the point is at some point Tesla's just got way too much cash coming in. They won't be able to spend it all. But here's the key. Tesla will not begin paying dividends until they are absolutely confident they cannot even conceive of a way of spending the profits either today or far into the future. What do you think the impact would be if Elon took a step back from Tesla to focus on another project or for some other reason? It's extremely likely at some point Elon does take a step back from Tesla, predominantly to focus on SpaceX and colonizing Mars. That really is his life's mission. Tesla's almost a side project in that regard. But the spanner in the works, the curveball here, Tesla humanoid robot, and the intent to develop artificial general intelligence. It's possible that's going to keep Elon at Tesla in a very, very hands-on role for many years, if not decades to come. But if Elon were to step back for whatever reason, my best guess over the short term, Tesla stock gets absolutely wrecked, down 20-30+%, maybe 40, even 50 in a really worst case scenario. Eventually the market figures out it's not that bad. Tesla continues to execute and dominate and totally slay it, but they don't move as quick and they don't dominate as much as they would have with Elon in that hands-on role. Caveat here, of course, Tesla bot and the AGI project is extremely critical. But if we take that out of the picture in terms of electric vehicles, energy products, blah, 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 it's a done deal. Autonomy, it's done. Tesla's got the technology, the culture, the engineers, everything that they need to absolutely dominate. Why does Elon Musk purposely tank the stock? He's done it with the Hertz tweet, the poll, the tweet that the stock price is too high. He is smart enough to know what the stock market reaction is going to be. It's actually really simple, and I think people watching who really understand Elon Musk's character, his personality, his values, who he is as a person, will know the answer. It's quite obvious. He's just being honest. Elon Musk isn't afraid to share his opinion. If he thinks the stock price is too high, he'll say it. If he's curious what people on Twitter think about potentially selling some Tesla stock, he'll post a poll. Elon's not trying to move the stock up or down. He's just being honest. He's sharing his opinion. It's literally that simple. A lot of people who are emotionally invested seem to get this idea that he's trying to harm investors or hurt the stock price. He's not. He's just being honest. Much like I say things that are honest that crash my stock price, aka people get really mad and unsubscribe from the channel. Same shit. I'm aware of the potential implications of sharing my opinions and thoughts on subjects that I know will trigger people. In Elon's case, he'll be aware if he says something negative about the stock price, it may have a negative impact on the stock price, but that's not his intent. He's just being honest and sharing his thoughts and opinions. How would you achieve financial freedom if you had to start over again? Great question. I'd basically do what I did. Really. It's quite simple, not easy, but it is simple. Here's the process. Instead of investing in X, Y, or Z asset, the thing to invest in is yourself, in particular, how much value you can provide to the marketplace. We get paid in proportion to how much value we provide. It's as simple as that. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to whine in the comments, sorry bro, you're getting paid what you're worth. What I would do and what I did do is go berserk, reading books, listening to books, doing courses, seminars, acquiring skills, abilities, doing things, making things, creating things, putting them out into the marketplace, trying stuff, getting feedback, improving your skills on everything. You know, I've read books on everything from communication to goal setting to time management to investing to money to mindset to happiness, everything you can possibly imagine. And the ultimate result here is I have a very broad range of skills, and in some domains I can add an enormous amount of value. This YouTube channel isn't an accident. As much as I'd like to say, oh, anyone can start a YouTube channel and do exactly what I did, the truth is most people can't because they don't have the skills or the experience. Now, I'm not trying to put people down, I'm just being honest here. I have so much knowledge that I'm able to apply from different things that I've learned about and studied and put into practice, past jobs, careers, businesses, lectures I've been to, seminars, personal development work that I've done, that I have an unfair advantage at doing just about anything. And that's really the advice I'd give to anyone watching. Just work on you, your skills, your ability, and ultimately how much value you can provide in the marketplace, and everything else will look after itself. Basically, gain some skills, create a product or service, big income from business, invest that income, next minute financially independent. Simple, but not easy. You can certainly achieve financial independence the extremely slow way as well. Just work a typical 9-to-5 job, save, invest as much of your income as you can, keep your expenses low, blah, blah, blah. That's totally fine. But you asked me what I would do if I had to start over again, and I'm not going to sit around and wait 30, 40, 50 fucking years. Why do you prefer investing everything in Tesla rather than investing everything in Bitcoin? So we're talking about everything, not a little bit. So the answer is actually quite simple, because I'm not a brain dead fucking moron. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with owning some cryptocurrency or Bitcoin. But if I was all in, like literally had everything in Bitcoin, I would be one of the dumbest human beings to ever have walked the face of planet Earth. Why do I say this? Tesla's a tangible business. They make real products. There's enough information to make an intelligent decision in terms of risk, reward, the future of this company, and we can do so very far into the distance. Of course, the further we look into the future, the less clarity. But we can at least see something. With Bitcoin, there is no clarity here. And don't get me wrong, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think over the next decade, we could see a 10x or more, but it's not guaranteed. And there's a complete lack of clarity. It's pitch black when you look into the future regarding Bitcoin. I can't model Bitcoin in the future anywhere near as clearly as I can with Tesla. There's so much uncertainty around Bitcoin. There's far less uncertainty around Tesla. There's far more available information. There's far more ways we can look into the future of Tesla from every different angle conceivable. With Bitcoin, it's very difficult to do the same thing and have any level of confidence or certainty. Let me distill it down to a simple statement. I know I'll be right about Tesla. I can't possibly know I'll be right about Bitcoin. Bitcoin has far too many unknown unknowns. Why don't you buy a Tesla just because you can? Not sure about the second part of that, but the reason I don't have a Tesla, I don't need one, don't want one. I don't own a vehicle. I haven't since I retired in 2018, went backpacking overseas. I live in the city now. Everything I need is close by. I have no need for a vehicle, so I don't own a Tesla. That's simple. What year do you predict Tesla's robo-taxi fleet to roll out? Well, everyone who has access to my Tesla valuation model over on Patreon, if you're not already signed up, hit the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment, will already know the answer to this. I'm expecting the very first robo-taxi fair to take place somewhere on planet Earth in 2024 and have a fairly slow ramp from there as well. If you want to see more, like I said, a Tesla valuation model, it's available exclusively on Patreon for everyone at the investor support level and above. You can see all my assumptions, first robo taxi fare, cost per mile, all sorts of stuff like that. It's all in there. What would cause you to sell Tesla and buy something else? It's pretty simple. If I saw a better risk-adjusted opportunity, factoring in the enormous amount of capital gains tax I pay, realizing those gains on Tesla stock, the remaining capital less than the value of the Tesla stock, if I factored all that in, I thought, you know what, this is definitely a better risk-adjusted return, then I'd do it. I'm not emotionally attached to owning Tesla stock. The only exception here, of course, is a medical emergency, something like that. Shit hits the fan, got to save somebody's life or my own, just, whatever. Then fine, I'll sell some Tesla stock. But outside of an emergency like that, I really would need to be convinced that I had found a much better risk-adjusted opportunity elsewhere. Are you still loading up on Tesla stock at bargain prices? Sure am. Still buying with every spare cent. Obviously, I have to put money aside for tax. That's basically the only time I'm not buying Tesla stock like every week or every month is when I'm saving for my imminent tax bill. What are your thoughts on Arcimoto and the FUV? Says somebody with an Arcimoto in their profile picture. Actually, I think the product's cool, the company's cool, they've got lots of potential, I think they'll do pretty well, and don't really have much more to say. How much, if any, of your Tesla stock would you sell if you could buy as much SpaceX privately as you wanted at a $100 billion valuation? Well, spoiler alert, I've been offered many times over the last 2+ years to buy SpaceX around $100 billion valuation. I've declined every time. I think SpaceX is a great opportunity. I'd love to own some, but I'm confident enough in terms of Tesla and the potential from here. Definitely possible that SpaceX could grow to be worth far more than Tesla over the ultra long term, but I have a lot more clarity and certainty around Tesla, so at this point in time, it's still the bargain of the fucking century. I may buy SpaceX in the future, 100, 200, 500 billion, even $1 trillion valuation would probably still be a good deal. But I'm always thinking, risk, reward, potential, how much clarity do I have? Okay, cool. Tesla looks fine to me. Now, to be clear, I definitely think SpaceX over the long term could grow to be a $10+ trillion company, but I am talking over the long term. So there's definitely a lot of upside there, but I'm completely comfortable with the returns I'm expecting in Tesla stock. Why hasn't Tesla committed to more factories, i.e. start building at the end of this year? This is actually a pretty simple one to answer. The existing factories, existing and under construction, alone are going to have enough capacity to get Tesla at least a third, maybe more of the way to their 20+ million vehicles per year goal over the long term. Berlin, stage 1 alone is 500,000 vehicles, and there's room for another 4 stages on that side alone. Gigafactory in Austin is just so fucking gigantic. The site is just absurdly large. That can be expanded basically infinitely. I'm not saying it would happen, but that site alone could probably ultimately produce 10+ million electric vehicles a year. Not going to, but could. Don't get me wrong, I think Tesla will announce factories in the future. Again, I refer you to my Tesla valuation model. I've got all of the estimates for production, including all the new factories all the way out to 2031. Again, check the link in the pinned comment. So instead of thinking about new factories, think about how much capacity can each site provide in the future. At what age did you do ayahuasca and how did it change your life? Thank you, Stephen. So I was probably 32, 33 a few years ago. In terms of how did it change my life? Enormously. Got complete and utter clarity on what to be doing from here. Long story short, I'd closed down a business a little while earlier, headed overseas, trying to figure out, I'm financially independent now, what do I do from here? How do I have the biggest impact on the most number of people? Did some ceremonies, that was kind of what I was trying to figure out. 4 ceremonies later, having experienced the full spectrum of possibilities on ayahuasca, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, I had complete and utter clarity, started a YouTube channel. Next minute, here we are. So it was profoundly important. One of the most important things I've ever done in my life. Gave me a huge amount of clarity and certainty about where to move in terms of my mission and purpose. And 3 years later, I'm absolutely slaying it. Happier, healthier, more content, more fulfilled than I've ever been in my life. Got a great deal of balance, complete and utter certainty about what I should be doing. I feel fulfilled every single day. I'm excited to wake up in the morning. And there's literally nothing that I would want to change to make things any better than they already are. I'm literally winning at life here. So I think overall it had a pretty positive impact. Best way to leverage YouTube to make an income, or courses that you bought that helped you. Truth be told, I'm probably not the best person to answer on maximizing income here because I don't do that myself. I started on YouTube when I was already financially independent. I do a lot of things that minimize my revenue rather than maximizing it. Obviously, if I was selling courses, I'd be making probably a few $100,000, maybe up to $1 million a year more in revenue than I already am, but not interested in doing that, just here to add value. I don't really care. I'm not trying to earn income, even though the income from the YouTube channel, etc. is actually pretty decent. I'm not actually trying to do that. I'm just making videos every day, sharing my thoughts and opinions, and yeah, sure, I'll monetize it along the way. But I have actually done a couple of courses, even though I ignore a lot of the best practices in those, and I highly recommend them. Graham, Stefan, and Meet Kevin both have courses on YouTube, highly valuable, you learn lots of stuff. But there's a lot of things that I know I could do or should do that I actively, intentionally don't do, because again, I'm not focused on earning income or generating the maximum amount of revenue, so I may not be the best guy to answer that question. Here's a tip: swearing constantly, talking about hanging out with Mary Jane, dropping F-bombs, sharing controversial opinions, all things that aren't going to maximize your channel's revenue. at least over the short term. At what point in time or at what net worth can we expect videos on philanthropy? And what do you think about the idea of donating 1% a year or 5% when there's a good opportunity so that you can still compound while donating? A great question here. Personally, my strategy, it may be a little bit selfish, but I actually enjoy giving. It feels good. I know it's selfish, but it's true. So I like to give consistently year after year. But most of my capital at this point in time, I'm compounding for future philanthropy because I know in my mind I give $100 today or I give $100,000 in the future. It's just chalk and cheese. And this is a conversation I've had actually going back to my 20s. I can very clearly recall having a conversation with somebody asking me for money to donate to their charity on a lunch break probably a decade ago. I'm like, bro, every dollar I give you today will be worth $1,000 or $10,000 in the future. So thanks, but no thanks. I'd rather compound my money and do most of the giving in the future. And he was like, his brain was ready. I'm like, dude, do you want $1 now or $10,000 in the future? And I can understand there's an argument to be made for doing all the giving you can now because of the impact. But I also think it's more logical over the long term. Give a bit along the way here. It makes you feel good and you'll do some good as well. But if you believe, like I do, that you can, will, massively compound your capital, multiply it by 10, 20, 100, 1,000 times, I don't think there's anything wrong in the majority of your capital compounding for future deployment. If we take this to the extreme, I could have given every cent I've ever earned in my adult life. I probably would have given away about $1.3 million after tax. That's about how much I've invested, and that's pretty much where all my money goes. That would have been helpful, right? But that money over the next few decades is going to compound well past $100 million. Like literally. I'd much rather have $100 million of capital to deploy in the future than having deployed $1.3 million along the way and then having nothing to give in the future. And just for the record, probably 95+% of my charitable donations in the last decade, give or take, have gone to MAPS.org, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. These tools in the right settings have the potential to reduce or eliminate suffering for ultimately hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people. Seriously. That's where I believe my money can do the most good today and possibly in the future. What were you the most wrong on in life, investing, or whatever? How did you deal with it? Investing, pretty good track record there in life. When I was younger, I actually used to believe that God existed. When will you officially retire? What's your goal? Well, spoiler alert, I actually retired in 2018. If you want to be technical, it would have been 2017 when I started winding things up, but took a little bit of transition time. So yeah, I've been retired for the last 4 years. I'm doing exactly what I want to every single day. Curiously, it turns out that making YouTube videos is part of my daily routine, but I'm literally retired. I do what I want, when I want. I answer to no one. I have as much time for recreation, rest, fun, entertainment as I want. Plenty of time to look after my health, hang out with friends, family. I'm not the kind of person to sit on the beach for the rest of my life, so I'm always going to be active. But to be clear, this is my retirement. It ain't bad. Favorite strain of cannabis? Great question. Depends on the use, what I'm intending to get out of it, whether it's sleep induction, creativity, so I can't really name a specific strain. Sorry, not a cop-out, but I just use different strains for different purposes. Ass or tits? There's always one. For the record, definitely a tits man, don't get me wrong. I love a good booty, but tits on a whole other level. What catalyst, milestone, or inflection point will push you to stop your current content train? I think the only thing I can really think of at this point, in terms of my mission overall to have a big impact on a lot of people, is if I found a way to have a bigger impact on more people. Simple as that. But truth be told, I think I'm going to be doing this YouTube thing for a very long time. It's possible in the future my output will slow, but I don't really see a foreseeable scenario where I stop creating content on YouTube entirely. I think it's always going to be in the picture, but never say never. Do you think we have free will? No, I don't. I've looked into this. I know it might sound crazy to some people, but the neuroscience is there. I've experienced this personally, deep in meditation practices. There's a million ways you can come at this problem, and it seems evident to me free will is illusory. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything is predetermined. What I am saying is the conscious observer, us, the self, ain't steering the ship. Feels like we are, which is good. It's a convincing illusion, but that's what it is. A great book I recommend, Free Will by Sam Harris. Are you really sleeping with my girlfriend? I don't know, which one is she? You are accumulating wealth and have a frugal lifestyle so you can make a sizable and meaningful contribution to societal causes later. Accolades is not what drives you. What do you want your legacy to be? And if you don't care, what do you wish your dear ones say about you at your funeral? This is a great question. Never really thought about that. So, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to have a positive impact, do a little bit of good while I'm here, and that's pretty much it. So if people say, yep, Stephen did a little bit of good while he was here, and that's what people say at my funeral, I'll be happy with that. What is your favorite dosage of mushroom emoji? Well, when I dose mushroom emojis, a link in description for your own Don't Bet Against Elon merch. Truth be told, I tend to have sort of relatively high doses versus most people. I seem to have a little bit of a tolerance to these particular emojis, and I'll just leave it at that. Your dating/relationship experiences. This is going to be a fun one. I'll try not to get myself cancelled. So for those that don't know, I have a very unconventional dating life. for most of my adult life, apart from a few times when I'm crazy bunkered down in monk mode just getting a project done, or I'm in a long-term committed relationship. I've tried that a few times, a year here, a year there, a year there. Actually, they're all about a year. I've done that maybe 4 or 5 times. For the rest of the time, call it 15 plus years, I just date non-exclusively. Hang out, have fun, hook up, rinse, recycle, repeat. I much prefer that lifestyle. I'm not ready to commit the time and energy to an exclusive relationship. I've got shit to do. I've got a mission to focus on. Mid-40s, mid-50s or so, even up to 60, that's when I'm thinking family and kids. I'm not in a rush. There's no biological clock ticking for me. Unfortunately, that is not the case for women. I have a lot of empathy for that, but I've got a ton of time. I'm focused on my mission. So yeah, I tend to date women. I'm not going to go into specifics. It gets a bit weird because, they know I do YouTube and blah, blah, blah. So it's best not to get into too much detail, but the women I date know that I'm not exclusively seeing them. There's no sneaking around or doing anything behind people's backs. I also want to point out that probably 97% of men have no idea what the fuck they are doing when it comes to dating women. As I mentioned, I've been on lots of dates in the past. I have a lot of experience here. I actually had a YouTube channel previous to this just to learn the ropes on YouTube. I published 100 plus videos on dating, relationships, all that kind of stuff. A lot of people don't want to hear it. Definitely recommend a couple of books. 3% Man, Coach Corey Wayne, probably the best place to start and go from there. What do you think the probability is of intelligent life existing out there on other planets? Approximately 100. I'm not suggesting the planets are particularly close, but when you do the math, the universe is gigantic. Okay? We're talking about hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. Each of these stars on average with, call it, maybe half a dozen planets. Maybe it's 3 or 4, maybe it's 7 or 8. We don't know exactly yet, but you do the math and you think of the probabilities. It's like, yeah, it's pretty much a 0% probability that there isn't intelligent life somewhere else in the universe, or at the very least that there hasn't ever been. But of course, we don't have any other examples besides ourselves, and I even question sometimes whether or not we're an intelligent life form. So it's hard to know for sure, but I would say the probability of there being intelligent life at this point in time, and again, wait, what is time? I'm not going to go down the relativity rabbit hole, but that's actually important to the comment. I'm giving it like a 99.9999999, keep going for about 2 minutes, % chance that there's life right now somewhere in the universe that's intelligent and conscious and isn't us. That's it for the Q&A. If you enjoyed this is the exact same thing that I do on Patreon very regularly with my exclusive Q&A. So check out the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment if you want to join Patreon. There's already over 100 Q&A videos in the archive, each 30 to 45 minutes in length on all sorts of topics. You can search by tag, so it's easy to find what you're interested in hearing my thoughts about. And just a reminder, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can get 2 free stocks with WeBull, a free stock with Stake, free Bitcoin with Coinbase, and free Bitcoin with BlockFi, and the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.